All right, man. We are live, and welcome back to the Chicago Landlord Secrets show that we've been doing weekly. And I'm losing track, but we'll just say this is week 200, and we're going on week 2000. So nice job so far, Tim, showing up. We had to move it to Friday this week due to some scheduling. We're going to be on Friday next week as well, too, because you and me will be at NARPM, National Association of Residential Property Manager Conference in New Orleans. Have you ever been to New Orleans before?
I have not. No, this will be the first time. So I'm definitely, I got to get to Cafe Du Monde. That's like the big check mark thing on my list. Obviously, having Bourbon Street, I'm sure I'll see, but the Cafe Du Monde more exciting to me.
Is that a restaurant or just a cafe? I
guess it's the beignet place.
Oh, I've never been there either. So this is gonna be my first time. Maybe you'll invite me and we go together. Like I'm excited about going there.
We'll get up for breakfast. Get up for breakfast one of these days. There are these donut-like things. I mean, I've had them, but never like from the place, But donut-like things, a lot of powdered sugar. So
nice. Sounds healthy.
It'll be fun.
I'll sprinkle some protein on top of it. That's what I'll do.
I have never heard anyone go to New Orleans and say that it was a healthy place to hang out.
All right, I'm excited. The group, the property managers across the country will be there. It sounds like it's a really big. We got a big turnout this year. I think like 600 or 700. So I'm excited to learn more and bring more back to this show that we can share here with other Chicago landlords. So
yeah, it's good. It's good. All the stuff that we've been talking about, right? Generally speaking, not all the time, but generally speaking, places like Colorado and California and New York City are ahead of us. Sometimes we beat them, and sometimes we have harder laws, but a lot of times they've had these, like for instance, I know me and you last year when we went to the event, they were just passing the law where a tenant can bring in their own credit report and all that stuff. And I talked to 3 or 4 of my buddies that are down in Colorado at this event last year, and found out that hey, no one really took advantage of it in Colorado. So maybe we'll get as lucky. And that, to me at least, have you had one yet? We haven't had any. Have you had one?
From what I know of, I think we've only had 3 or 4 of them. So like the entire year. And if you look on a volume basis, that's like less than 0.25% of a percent or something like that. So it's very low.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not a huge, and so that took a little bit of a fear out of us. So that's good. So we're gonna get some advice on these new things being passed. Which we'll go into breaking news. We talked last week about, what was it, 3564? I think HB 3564 being passed. The trailer bill that we weren't sure if it was going to pass or not was passed. So we got that new information. So January 1st, a lot of people have been saying that they keep getting conflicting information on when the start date is for the new law. And the reason is because there was conflicting information out there, because the actual law says July 1st, but then there was a new law that was being voted on and did pass. Now, granted, both of these laws have to be signed by the governor, but they're expected to be. So it did pass. So January 1st is going to be the start date for the 3564, which is the junk fee bans, and everything needs to be listed on page 1 of the lease, etc. We did get the other part of that I want to talk about. We got some clarity on a few things. One is the move-in fee security deposit stuff, and I don't know if we got this clarity before last week, so I'll just repeat it if not. But I think we were talking about that they were going to cap move-in fees last week, or did we already know that came out of the bill?
Yeah.
So the final bill does not have a cap on move-in fees.
Say it again. I wasn't sure.
Yeah. So.
Oh, really?
Originally we were thinking they were capping move-in fees at, I think 20% was at one point what they had written in the law. It caps it in the sense that you are not allowed to take you can only have one of these 3 things: security deposit, move-in fee, or move-out fee. That's the rule. You can only have one of those 3. Security deposits aren't capped yet, although there's another law that we can talk about that are going to be thrown out that's being voted on soon to try to cap it at 1 month. And move-in fees are not capped. However, just like in Cook County, you do need to now itemize your move-in fees and show actual expenses. So that's gonna change things a little bit.
So, in your opinion, how would you do that? Because everyone that's in Chicago right now is listening to this, and they have a $700 non-refundable moving fee. How do you justify that?
Yeah, you have to show your fees. So, I think to be biased a little bit, if you have a management company, it's going to be really easy because you're paying a cleaning fee, you're paying a rekey fee, and you're paying probably an admin fee to them to write the lease and do all that stuff. So you can throw that all on paper, and then that's itemized. Now the problem is this isn't specifically in law, but from case law, from other things, generally speaking, you doing your own labor is not considered a cost when it comes to things like this. So you can't say, "Hey, I rekeyed it by myself, and my labor would have been $200." You can still use the cost if you're doing yourself. You can still use the cost of the lock that you did, but you can't charge a labor fee for that. From everything I've seen. So yeah, you just got to itemize what you actually did. If you paid a cleaner, you can charge them that. If you paid for someone to write the lease or an admin to go meet them and give them keys, etc., all that stuff is chargeable.
That's crazy. What else is anything else clarified from last week?
The only other thing, technicality wise, we were talking a little bit about the first page rule because we're talking about the Safe Home Act, right? Technically, the 4 pages of the Safe Home Act are a attachment that is attached to the first page of the lease. So it's not actually considered part of the lease. So the fees are going to have to be on the first actual page of the lease. So it'll be the lease is starting January 1 will be the 4 pages of the Safe Home Act and then your page 1.
Yeah, I almost feel we're going to have to put that in writing for everybody with all the other disclosures and all that stuff. I imagine, I think you and me dreamt about the opportunity this could create on a positive side that maybe we'd have one lease in all jurisdictions, but I'm not sure if that will be possible.
I mean, it does. It combines. So, like right now, what are the differences we have? We have late fees, which are not going to be different anymore. We have, I mean, security deposit, but that, I mean,
security deposit return is different.
It's different, but I mean, what would it hurt that much? I don't know DuPage. I know Cook County. I know I know Cook County, and I know Chicago. I don't know Will and DuPage that much, but between Cook County and Chicago, the only real difference is I have to name the bank address. Like
you got the bank address.
The
you also have. I did an article on this recently. You also have the security deposit return. So that's a little different, and the notice is different as well too. So the notice you have to give to someone in Cook County versus Chicago is different.
But that's not part of the lease, though. You're talking about like notice to vacate, etc.
No, notice to if you have to come in there, like on an emergency, or notice to get access.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. So I guess that would be the one thing.
So there will be some changes.
What's the strictest notice? Chicago? 48 hours?
Yes, but with Cook County now it says, hey, you have to, if you have to go in there, you now have to give notice within 48 hours that you went in there. Best practice, don't get me wrong, but it is just a little different.
It's a little different. For to make the world an easier place and only have one lease, I'm willing to, I don't know, I think that might be something you put in, or you put a little addendum that changes it and you have one lease. I don't know. I think it does combine enough, especially now that you have to itemize everything in both places. You have to, at least between Cook and Chicago, I think it generalizes enough.
Yeah, we might be able to get down to maybe 2 leases, maybe because you do have some freedoms out in the Collar counties, DuPage and Will, that you don't have to mess with, that maybe you just don't want to put in writing if you don't have to. So we'll see. But there's the other big one. We'll get back to this one. We'll talk a lot more about this one in the upcoming weeks, months, and we'll definitely document some more of the stuff to share with our listeners. But the other big one that came up that I was not seeing on my radar at all is rent control. So that came up this past week, and that that's being talked about again, and it gets talked about every year. But I feel like there's different momentum here this year. What are your thoughts, and maybe share with everyone what you know about this?
Yeah, so I don't quote me on the number. I don't know it offhand of what the law, the HB whatever number for the law, but I'm sure if you Google rent control Illinois, it will pop up. This one's different. Like it is a weird. We've been down. I don't know if you've ever gone, Mark, with IR or CAR or more. They go down to Springfield every year and they talk to the state reps and Senate, and every year it feels like we're just trying to convince them to not pass a law that revokes the law that says rent control is illegal in Illinois. And what the law says right now is like a municipality cannot make a law for rent control. So like if Chicago wanted to implement rent control, they can't because at a state level it's illegal. This law that's up for debate right now that they're debating and probably voting on in the next few weeks is not only just like saying, hey, a municipality can do it, but it's also putting a 3.5% rent increase cap on across the state for renewals. So it's a huge difference. I'm hoping that the size of the jump is too much to overcome. But it's a crazy jump. Let's just say that to go from it's 100% illegal to we're going to force you to do it.
In the past, they were trying to vote on allowing each municipality and the city to allowing them the permission to put it in place or not themselves, right? Like that's the
right.
big
Yep.
And now this one just goes across the board. So that's crazy if you're going to think about that, like places like Naperville or St. Charles or Lincoln Park, where it's like, wow, this really hurts if you're under a market right now. So didn't people just come out and just jack up the rent this year before this? If this passes and it's going to go into effect maybe January 1st, wouldn't people just go jack up their rent right now?
Well, I mean, it depends on when you're in a lease. If you just rented it, and I'll throw this out there, right? And I think me and you both deal with this on a daily basis, and we're bringing in clients. The amount of landlords that are DIY landlords that are not working with someone like yourself or me to see what the rent roll should be. A lot of times we take over. I think the most common for us that we get is, hey, I inherited these 3 buildings from my dad, and the rent should be $1,500, but he's been renting it out for $600 a month, right? Like all of a sudden, those things, unfortunately, you know what's going to happen is all those tenants are getting kicked out of that house because the son can't afford to lose money on it. Like the dad might have had money and didn't care if he was losing money. The son probably doesn't have that kind of freedom, so he has to try to make money off of it. And now you're going to force people out of their homes instead of giving them the chance to pay a higher rent.
Is there going to be rules though that's going to not allow you to kick people out? Because that's where it really becomes damaging. I believe some other rent control, like in San Francisco, it's like, hey, you've been there and you can't kick them out, and you also can't raise the rent. Is there anything that comes with rent control territory?
So Chicago has been trying to. This law particularly doesn't have it, but Chicago has been trying to pass for the last 3 years now a law that says like, hey, if you tell a tenant to move out because of rehab or because just for like they didn't do anything wrong reason, that they want like the last law I saw, they wanted you to pay like 6 months of rent to the tenant if you tell them to leave. So yeah, I think you'll see, if not at the state level, you'll very quickly see at least in Chicago and probably Evanston and Oak Park probably is the other big one that's very tenant friendly, even more than the rest of the state. You'll probably see some kind of law that's very quickly passed to prevent that from happening.
Well, so that's something to watch. And then I also think about this with I have a couple tenants that I've had in my I have two condos that I'm thinking about specifically. I've had them in there for 15 years. And there was years that I didn't raise the rent because they were going through something, or I really liked them, or whatnot. And then a few years later, they knew it was kind of coming in. I would increase it. It might be 10 or 12% at that point. But I gave them that break on a monthly rent for so many years. Now with something like rent control, that would force me. It'd be less thinking for me, right? It's like, all right, so automatically I'm going to raise rent 3.5% every year. And I imagine that would be something everyone would kind of do instead of like trying to play with the numbers or negotiate. Hey, it's 3.5%. Keep going. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
For sure. I mean, that's what always happens. Have you ever seen a late fee less than in Chicago? Have you ever seen anyone do a late fee that's less than the maximum?
No.
Have you ever seen an NSF fee less than maximum? Have you ever seen, what else do we have in there already? NSF fees is capped. Late fees are capped. I would say move-in fees, the only thing, and that's only because it's not actually capped. I mean, it is and it isn't. It's been capped by the courts, but it hasn't been capped. Like, there's no law capping a move-in fee, but the courts, the case law. So you have to really know what you're talking about to understand the cap on a move-in fee, because it's all case law. It's not actual law. So yeah, I think it's hard. It's very hard to. Anytime that happens, you just get 3.5% across the board all the time.
Yeah. Do you think there's any suburbs that would not want to be part of this? Like, I think about some of the suburbs that just wouldn't want that type of control put on their community.
So I don't think they're going to have a choice. So 3564, there's a very specific rule. There's a very specific paragraph in there that says home rule does not apply. Meaning, where some laws, if you don't understand that, so the state passes a law, some towns have what's called home rule, meaning that they're big enough to make their own laws. So the state laws don't apply to them because they can make their own laws. The law 3564 specifically says home rule cannot override this law. So now, I believe.
Is that based on population? Because I know I've seen there's been laws in the past that, like, if a municipality that's over 1 million people, which automatically that's only Chicago, and it's like their own carve out.
Yep. Yeah, that's that exactly. It's home rule in Illinois is based population. It's saying, hey, you're big enough, you can do what you want, but they're gonna. I mean, I have a feeling anything they pass, they're gonna exempt home rule, where Chicago cannot change the law and has to do it.
The scary thing is these things. They've spent a lot of years trying to put this stuff in place, but man, once it goes in place, it's never going to go backwards. You know, for the rest of our anyone that's watching it, for the rest of your investor career, they'll probably never come out and be like, you know what, let's just reverse this. So that's the kind of shitty part about anything that gets in play. I think you and me can deal with some regulation. We don't mind it, actually. It's probably not bad for our business because people don't want to deal with it and they hire us. But at the same time, it just does make people not want to do business here. And once you start going down a path to unwind it, it just seems damn near impossible. At least I've never seen anything in my couple of decades of career of like, oh, this was a bad idea, and we realized and we admit it now. We're going to reverse it. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah. So I googled home rule just to see what the level is. It's 25,000. It's not that bad. So there's a lot of towns that meet it. And technically, if you have over 20, there's 224 towns that get home rule exemptions. But again, some of these laws, they write it where that doesn't count and you can't do it. So I'd assume that'd be the same thing. If they're going to pass it, they're not going to force. There's no way they pass a law like that only applies to the deep south of Illinois, where everyone is red, and not apply to the blue part of Illinois, where the tenants would actually vote for that. So.
Yeah. You're right. I was thinking some of these suburbs, but when you really think about the people that you would think would come out against it, would be all the southern, anything outside of the Chicago MSA, I guess. So yeah, that's very true too. I guess we do have that on our side here as investors, that potentially they'll come to they're on the side of the investor. I haven't heard MBOA talk anything about the newest rent control thing. So I wonder how much this is on the radar, or how much, because the thing with MBOA is sometimes they're doing stuff behind the scenes before they come out front because they don't want to message it. So I'm curious to hear what they're doing when I talk to them next week.
Yeah, it's such a. What was the law last year that we had an issue with? I'm trying to remember what it was. But there was one, and it ended up failing, luckily, and we got through. But it was basically dead in the water, and then another group started making all the calls, or getting, basically getting the state senators a ton of mail on it, and a ton of calls, and a ton of like the letter campaigns. And it basically forced the state senate to like reopen it and vote it on again, because they were getting so much like it was something that was going to not be voted on, and all of a sudden it got brought to the front. And so it caused, instead of letting it quietly die, it brought it back to life, and almost cost us that one. I forget which law it was, but so there's a lot of times where they do things behind the scenes because they don't want to make noise, because if they think they already won, they don't want to wake up the other side and push a battle. I'm reading a book right now. Did you know that? You know why? You know why you don't see cigarette ads on TV anymore?
I thought it was just to not, they fought it for kids' sake of kids or something.
Do you know who fought it?
I don't. Parents? I don't know.
No, tobacco.
Really?
Uh-huh. The tobacco lobbyists fought to make it illegal to have cigarette ads on TV and radio.
And is that just so they didn't have to compete and spend all that money on TV ads? And
so what happened is, the law says, and I can't think of the name of it, but it's been in the news more for political reasons, but it says that if ABC lets the Republican candidate come on for 10 minutes, they have to let the Democrat come on for 10 minutes for free. That law is for anything. So what was happening is Marble Light, and I don't even know another brand of cigarettes, so that's
Parliament, man. P-Funk.
Parliament. There you go. Parliament were competing and spending millions of dollars to get ads, which then gave millions of free ads to the do not smoke people, because they were the opposing political party or political belief. So cigarette sales in the 60s were going down because all these ads about how cigarettes kill you and blah, blah, blah kept getting on. And the groups were only getting it on because it was free. So tobacco, literally the union, or whatever you want, the lobbyists for tobacco, made it illegal to put cigarette ads on TV, which then caused thus not to have any ads for don't smoke. And so because of that, because that law only applies to TV and radio, cigarette ads on billboards and magazines and TV shows rode supreme, and that's, all of a sudden sales went back up. So it's the same thing. You don't want to draw attention to yourself. So that's how, long story short, that's what MBOA sometimes does, or CAR sometimes does, is they just they know they have the votes and they let it die, and they don't want to bring it up because they don't want the other side to hear about it to go and fight it.
So what you're saying is we should hit stop right now and delete this recording.
No, just limit our your Facebook page for Straight Up Chicago. Just limit it to only landlords, and we'll be fine. Don't let the tenants see it.
By saying that, I'm assuming people actually are watching us, so we might be good. Maybe not enough people care to watch us to do that. So
yeah, we have hundreds and hundreds of fans, Mark. Come on.
Well, based on that, everything that's happening right now, the one thing that makes you nervous, but in the meantime, it is a shining light. So just looking at our Q1 rental numbers, rents are up. And usually that's not something that usually flies up in Q1. Places are renting faster, which is usually not a Q1 thing that's positive. And we actually had a few bidding wars in Q1 prior to, at least season get going. So maybe foreshadowing here, looking into the upcoming quarter and the rest of 2026. Everything's on the side of the landlord right now, and that is super awesome. And it might be just for the short term for us, based on everything else we're watching or listening or talking about that could come out later in the year or next year. But in the meantime, as a landlord, man, this is great. This is the best it gets right now. So you remember
Yeah.
when you're saying, when you're looking back and say, the good old days, this is going to be the good old days right now. So take advantage of it, get your place rented, pin one tenant against the other, and take advantage. And I say that very fairly. Just you have a good picking. And I say this coming out of, I remember in 2008, or 9, 7, 8, 9, before the Great Recession, to rent a place was damn near impossible because you could literally buy a house for cheaper than a security deposit. So it was so hard to find good renters. And so anyone that's been doing this for the last 10 years, 15 years, never knew what renting was like before. It's been a landlord market. Here, I'm talking specifically here in Chicago and Chicago suburbs for the last 15 years. And that's just crazy. So these are the good old days right now. Remember that.
I'll throw this out. I was trying to grab something else, but the homepage I had to go to, I don't know if you use Realist at all, but I was trying to look up some tax data, and the homepage tells you, the sales and all the entire state's numbers. When's the last time we've been in a buyer's market? Because we're in one right now.
Really? What are you seeing?
We're finally at a spot where, I'm sorry, not a buyer. Buyer's market. We're seeing that there's literally homes that are sitting on the market. Like 6 months ago, 8 months ago, if you put a home up at the proper price, it was off the market in a few weeks. We're seeing average inventory last above 90 days now, which pushes it to the way that it looks at is, generally speaking, it technically, I guess, is technically a neutral market, because above 120, I think, is the definition of a buyer's market, and below 60 is a seller's market. But I mean, we've been below 60 for so long the last few years, where if you wanted to sell a house, you just put it on the market and you had 10 buyers. It's going to be interesting. And if it's good for, if you were an investor trying to get in and try to get more properties, it's finally going to slow down enough where that's going to be a possibility again to get a good deal, and to put an offer in it under list price. We haven't done that in a while. And that's starting to happen again.
Huh. Well, we'll see. I listed a flip this week, so we'll see what happens. I only got one showing so far, and I'm discouraged. So either I priced it too high, or maybe what you're saying is true, or both.
Sorry, I accidentally found this information out. I did not mean to bring you down. I'm on the homepage. I was like, oh shit.
Well, you bought a flip recently. How'd it go? How'd the trash out go? How's that all going?
We're finally done with the trash out. Well, almost done. We technically have, so it has 2 garages, which is interesting. I don't actually understand the second garage, because the second garage is so the first garage is attached 1-car garage, and then there is a detached 2.5-car garage that has no way to get a car to it, because there's fences all around it. There's no way to ever get a car there.
So you got a huge ass shed.
Huh?
You got a huge shed.
Exactly. It is a huge shed that is shaped as a garage. At first I was like looking at it, and I'm like, oh, they just need to there needs to be a driveway to the side. And I'm like, oh wait, no, there's a giant electric pole on the side yard that would block you from driving up. Okay, so you can't go that way. The only way to actually do it that would be possible would be to drive through the connected garage, because it's one of those double door ones. So you could drive through it and then drive into the other garage. But again, going back to it being a shed, I got about probably a half a dumpster of tools and machinery and stuff like that we have to dump out still. But the house itself, they're finishing up the demo now. We got the floors out. We got the cabinets are coming out. So we're at the point where we get to pick colors and flooring and all the fun stuff now.
When it comes to trash out, it's crazy how, and you call it the Generation X man's man that had tool sets and like heavy duty, like all that shit's heavy. The last couple of ones we've taken over, they had like full tool sets, and I think there's some money in it. You just don't know what to do with it, so you end up tossing it.
Yeah.
All the
this guy. I don't know if we talked about the stuff that we actually kept, but I don't know if we talked about the other weird, like this guy had probably 10 or 15 Windows 98 towers, like computer towers, and like 100 hard drives. All the old, like if you were into computers in 1998. All the software you ever wanted, this guy had, like what was it, like Design Your Kitchen software? You played around with that in the night. All that stuff. So there's some interesting thing. I also now did finish my collection of state quarters. I never actually started it, but I now have a full collection, so that's cool. That's the only other.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, there is always for us. We always find $500 to $1,500 worth of stuff we could sell or throw on Facebook that kind of offsets, hopefully, the couple dumpsters we got
Some
to
of the
get.
cost.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, when do you make the decision if you live load, put a dumpster in the driveway, or put a dumpster in the driveway, or do like a live load where you have a guy come out and just pull the stuff out as you go?
I mean, it's obviously as much. I mean, this one was an easy one because we're on our fourth dumpster. All right,
So
our
you're
fourth
popping out
30
30-yarders versus so it's more of a size of the job.
Yeah. I mean, we have a box truck that we'll use for the offloading stuff. So I mean, if it's like, generally speaking, I mean, for the most part, when it's like a normal tenant and they leave stuff behind, we're bringing the box truck and just loading it up and driving it off to the dump. But yeah, if we're gonna fill a 30-yarder or two, or like I said, this one's a no-brainer because we're on our fourth 30-yarder. So
Nice. Yeah. I heard a horror story. This is a Chicago landlord. This is nothing we manage. But the tenant, he had a problem with the tenant. And the only reason I know about the story is this guy's been calling me for advice on how to get this guy out, and I've been helping him through that. But ultimately, what the tenant did was, and he caught this on camera from his neighbor's camera, but what he did was he took the wrought iron fence that was around the front of the two flat and basically sold it. And he blamed it and said that it was stolen. Like, that's what he told the owner, and he got him con taped. So now he's trying to turn it into a criminal thing. But the tenant, this is someone that anyone that has any level of screening system should have never let anybody in, would never pass anything. But the guy literally had somebody come. He had a crew of 2 or 3 people that took the fence out and moved it away. And they were trying to see. I saw the camera. On the camera, you can see how gently they're taking care. They're gonna go install it somewhere else. So they literally stole the fence.
So we just had this happen at one of our vacants. It was, but like, see, you said wrought iron. My thought was like they're just gonna go scrap it and make some money.
That's what I thought
real quick. Too. But this is a wooden fence, and they literally took out like 2 post areas. Like, it's like they picked the nicest spot and dug up the 2 posts and took everything. And like yours, that's the only thought I had is that they sold a job somewhere where they're installing that fence for someone, because the way they took it out was like meticulous. And also, I don't know what you're going to do with that wood if you're not reinstalling it somewhere. So apparently that's the new game. It's criminals are getting weird, I guess. I mean, like, we used to, the Cadillac converters and stuff were big for a while. That made sense because they were just turning it in for metal, right? Like, it's like, okay, it's easy peasy. The latest one I've heard from a lot of people is getting their airbags stolen because of the embargo. They can't get airbags in for all these companies, so these shops are buying airbags off these guys that they're stealing so that they can fix airbags. That's, I don't know. It seems way too complicated.
The airbags was something that was happening in the 90s when the price of airbags was really high, and it's gone down a lot. And so it sounds like now it's just a supply thing. That's crazy. I remember one day I was driving down, it was like 61st and Laughlin, 64th and Laughlin. And there's literally a guy that was stealing the Cadillac converter from underneath the car. And the other guy was on the watch out. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, it's happening right here in front of me. It was like 9 a.m. Like, it wasn't even like it was trying to hide it.
Yeah. That's crazy. One more, you're talking about their stories or whatever. A PSA for landlords. I saw someone post this on a board, but if you're a landlord, one of the craziest mistakes I've seen with evictions is evicting a person but not putting all unknown occupants on it. And you get all the way through the eviction only to realize that when the sheriffs come, they're not kicking everyone out, and there's other people living there and you don't have the right name on. It's I think it's common knowledge that you got to write that in, but someone was asking the other day, like, do I have to put all these names on? And I'm like, that's scary to be a landlord and not know that and to do it wrong. It's even scarier though if there's attorneys out there that aren't catching that and solving it for them ahead of time. But I mean, some people try to do it DIY too. But yeah, if you're a landlord and you fill out that 5-day wrong, either you're going to end up 6 months into court and get it thrown out and have to start over, or worse, you're going to get the eviction but not get everyone evicted and start over.
Jesus! Oh my gosh! That's stressing me out thinking about it. I love that you shared that, because I heard that twice last year specifically. One was a DIY landlord that you didn't know, right? That's just something to know, and you had to have done it before to know that. Then secondly, the guy had an attorney, but the problem was the attorney was somebody in his family that was like a family practice attorney in DuPage County. It's like, that's like, you might as well just not be an attorney and go on a random forum, and you probably get better advice than the guy that has no clue about landlord. Nothing against that guy, but man, he tried to help, but he really hurt his brother-in-law.
Look, law is very like yes, everyone graduates with 1 degree, but it's what you learn after that matters. Same thing like medicine, right? I don't want my family doctor, or whatever you call it, family health, like the doctor you get checkups from. I don't want him doing heart surgery on me. Like that's not what you want. Attorneys are the same thing, man. If you have a divorce attorney, you don't want him screwing up your real estate lead. Or you get like, I dealt with this last year. We sold the property for a client, and I'll stage it this way. I don't know if I told you about this one or not, but it was a commercial property. It was a 16-unit property. But what's the longest AI letter you've ever seen?
I don't know. They get crazy now, like 5-6 pages.
Yeah, this was 45.
Oh my gosh. It's 3 times the size of the contract.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it got to the point where we're just like, first of all, generally, I'm doing it long enough where, like, generally I will read them and then ask the attorney, like, hey, this is what I see. You good with this? Blah, blah, blah. I literally went and emailed my attorney and said, yep, I don't have this degree. Let me know in a few days after you're done. So it was like, I mean, they were using words I've never heard of. Like, it was insane. And that's what happens when you have an attorney that doesn't do real estate, that tries to dip in and then wants to, oh no, what about this? And what about, it just, and then the deal almost died. Like, we canceled the deal, and then they came back and redid it and all that stuff. But yeah,
I'll age myself here. I remember doing deals in 2003, 4, 5, where the attorney review was like 5 bullet points on 1 page. Like, that was it. There's more words of the couple disclosure paragraphs up front and the format on the back. Like, that's it. Like, 1 page. You never had a deal fall apart because attorney review for the most part, unless the buyer got cold feet.
By the way, in that 45 pages, there was no, just so everyone understands, there was no request for repairs or credits.
That's crazy. All right, man. We're getting towards time here. Anything else you want to cover here this week?
No, I think that's good. The Bears, their safety. We're real Chicago people, so we got to touch base on that for half a second at least. But other than that, hopefully we have the rest of a good weekend, and we're opening the pool this weekend. So summer's coming, which means leasing season's coming, and the AC calls. I guess I'll throw that out there really quick. If now's the time where it's a little bit cheaper because it's not an emergency. Like, in these 80-degree days, if you're check your ACs, make sure they're working, and make sure they're clean. If you got a bunch of debris on your condenser, you're gonna have some issues. Yeah.
I think for the we mostly do, and if you're not, you should be. In the fall, we take care of your furnace in advance. But I think the same thing in the spring. That AC coil for the 105, 125, whatever you might be paying, a professional come out and prevent it is huge cost savings and time savings and aggravation with your tenant. So spend that couple bucks up front. Also, something to keep in mind with ACs this year, and it's Freon has gone up even more. If you have a unit that was built, I think it's before 2012, 14, and you still have a unit that's got Freon, but if you got to put a few liters of Freon in, you might as well consider replacing the condenser versus just kind of buying time.
Yeah, it's now at the point where it's illegal to. I mean, it's been illegal to manufacture for a long time. Now it's even technically illegal to distribute. So we're on our last few gallons of it here. In a few years, the old Freon, you're not going to be able to get it all. So
I said liters. I meant pounds. Is how it's. But yeah, no. With that, anything like that with your furnace or with your AC, just repair versus replace. That's something you and me in our worlds we talk about all the time. And in the repair side of things, to put 3 pounds of Freon in your unit this year probably doesn't make sense versus just going and get a $3,000 AC unit for unit. Everyone's happier. You don't got to worry about it going out then later in the season. And then, it'll just be more efficient. Your tenants most likely have a lower electric bill. So you're doing them a favor as well too. And you can use that as a selling point to them when you go to renew their rent, even like, hey man, I got your new AC. So your electric bill should be less. I can raise rent a little. So
there you go. Cool.
All right, man. Well, I am grateful for you showing up here with me every single week. I'm grateful for the people that chime in and the people that are watching us outside of the live stream. But man, Yumi will be back here next Friday, and then hopefully we're returning back to our normal Thursday time. Anyone, if you have property management questions, if you have crazy stories you want to contribute, if you have topics you want me and Tim to talk about on here, we'd love to hear your feedback. You can reach out to us. I got my IG handle there. You got the website for Tim. We're very, very searchable anywhere online, and we'd love to hear from you. And if there's anything we'd ever help you with on the property management front, we're definitely there to help you as well too. So Tim, thank you. Listeners, watchers, we will see you next week.